This is More Than Money with Mapalo Maku, brought to you by Sasfin Wealth.
Welcome to More Than Money. I'm Mapalo Maku, a personal finance columnist, and I love having money conversations that change people's perspective about finances. Why am I doing this podcast, you might ask? To talk about money. Not the paper stuff. I mean the baggage, the feeling, the emotional, heart-wrenching stuff. We find this conversation so uncomfortable to have, which is why on this podcast, I have decided to have this very difficult conversations. We are going to have some difficult discussions because better money conversations lead to better money confidence, and healthy money dialogue leads to healthy money decisions. Today on More Than Money, I'm joined by Sumaya Hassen, who is a business development manager at Sasfin Wealth. But more than that, I used to work with Sumaya a couple of years ago. It is so good to see you, Sumaya.
Oh my God, Mapalo, it is amazing. I did not know it was you. I listened to the voice and I heard your podcasts and I was like, I know this person from somewhere.
This name
but
from
where?
somewhere.
Oh my God, it's crazy.
It
how
is
history
amazing
goes
to
past.
see you.
It is.
And
it's
you
so
just
good to see
reminded
you.
me of when I was in the industry, you're talking about PCRs, and I'm like, whoa, Sumaya, wait a minute.
That was my Liberty days.
But it is so wonderful to have you here, Sumaya.
What a pleasure. What a pleasure to meet you, to be on your show.
You know
Yes.
what?
Yes.
I love the fact that we work together and you've always been on the other side. You know,
Yes.
the one talking to planners, the
Yeah.
one
Selling the
selling the
product.
product.
Yeah.
Today we want to hear all about how you
manage money.
manage your own finances. So today you are in the hot seat.
Okay, let's go.
All right. So you've been in the industry for many years. What are some of the things that you have picked up and that have influenced the way you manage your money because of being in the industry?
I think, Mapalo, you know what? We go out there and we sell what we sell to advisors, obviously, because that's literally what I do. I
Yeah.
go out there to sell the Sasfin Wealth products to financial advisors and to partner with them in order to find a solution for their clients.
Yes.
And I think throughout the years, my main concern has been savings. I've got 2 girls, and saving for them was important. Saving for their education was important. Obviously, educating them with money, that type of thing. And I think it's been successful because my oldest is 24. She's finished her
Oh, wow.
articles. She's busy with her articles right now. She's finished her LLB. And I'm so proud of her. But she thinks it's instant gratification. Like, why should I be earning this money? And I said, Atya, I promise you, just put away 5% of it.
Yes.
I know it's more money that you earn, but just put away 5% of it.
Just put
You're
away
going to see a
something.
reward. It doesn't have to be an RA. Even if it's a unit trust investment, just put away 5%.
Yeah.
You know?
So you were mentioning that obviously being a mom, you always wanted to take care of your kids, right? Make sure that they have savings for their future, that they can complete their studies. I have seen, especially with women, that we focus so much on our children. How have you taken care of yourself and your finances to make sure that they don't have to take care of you once you stop working?
Yeah, that's a very important thing. So obviously retirement planning, all of that needs to be in place. You need to obviously look at what you actually receive from the company, from their provident fund, how much gets contributed there. Do I need to put additional money into an RA perhaps so that I do have sufficient at the time of need, that type of thing. But I think a lot of South Africans don't really know how much they need to be saving for retirement.
Yeah.
Because the purchasing power of money literally just blows everything out of proportion, you know? So, yes, that has been a big concern of mine, but I've been sticking to the guns.
You're sticking to
I'm
the plan.
sticking to the plan. And, working at Liberty for 19 years prior to joining Sasfin, I had to make sure I was preserving the stuff and doing the things that I needed to do.
That was going to be my second question.
Yes,
Because,
sorry.
if you are in the industry, the thing is always preserve your pension, your provident fund. Don't cash it out because of the tax implications, but also because this is meant for your retirement. Have you done that yourself?
Exactly. I've done that.
Weren't you tempted though, Sumaya?
There
to
was
take a little bit out
temptation.
and say, well,
There
I'll
was
take a little bit of a
temptation, but I've
portion.
been so blessed in the sense
Yes.
that joining Sasfin, I mean, they haven't been there in the retail space at the time when it came to the asset management business.
Yeah.
So I was literally going out selling this asset management arm that has been there for years, but just has never been sold to the retail advisor.
Yeah.
And by doing that, uh, literally what it's done, it's like encouraged me to say, listen, let's not touch this money and let's just see where we go, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So I must admit, I've been very disciplined when it comes to that. So
Have you
yeah.
always been disciplined? Just take me back to your childhood.
I
How
haven't.
were there any conversations about money in your household?
So I typically came from a middle class Indian home, very
Yes.
conservative parents, Islamic parents. You know, we needed to dress appropriately for school,
Yes.
if you know what I mean, that type of thing. I didn't have to wear the headscarf, that type of thing. But if we wore the uniform that was at the knee, we needed to wear pants to cover. So I would actually go in the boys' uniform instead, wear the grey pants,
Yeah, might
white
as
shirt,
well.
and the blazer, because that felt easier.
Yes.
But very conservative home where my mother was always at home, never worked. The paycheck came from my dad, you know, and he would sit at the end of the month and say, this is where it goes, that way. So we all got spending in that regard, okay? And we were never short of anything, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
So he probably budgeted really well. We were never short of food, we were never short of clothing, that type of thing. But you could see he was...
But it wasn't anything extravagant.
No, it
Yes.
wasn't extravagant.
Yeah.
It was like the basic necessities, you know. But we grew up, and then I realized, listen, I needed to actually educate myself. I needed to be someone that's out there, and I love conversation. I love relationships. You know, you actually forget how relationships are bonded over years. You know,
Yeah.
like by the same token, working for Liberty for so many years, you think, okay, where do I go starting to sell the Sasfin brand?
Yeah.
And
It's the
you think,
relationships that you've built over the
thank you.
years.
It's the relationships that I've built over the years. So literally, you go back knocking to the doors of the guys that you've worked for years.
Yeah.
You know?
I hear you.
And if you've got a good process and philosophy to sell, they are there. They're happy to go with it. So yeah, I've been blessed in that regard.
No, absolutely. So I just want to take it back to the time where you realized that, goodness, money is a really important part of life. What was that moment for you? Was it a shocking moment? Was it a traumatic moment? Or it was something silly? You know what? I want to buy this, but I can't afford it.
So it was the moment my daughter was born. See, so we had no plans of having kids. My husband and I were high school sweethearts. Got married early because obviously in the Indian Muslim faith, you don't
Yes.
live with your husband or your partner before marriage. So we got married early. No whatsoever wanting to have a child, literally, you know. But God sent her. And that was my change. That was my change. That was the change that I said, listen. And I was very fortunate as well in that regard, in the sense that I had my mom to assist me with her. My husband was very supportive as well,
Yes.
because we would take turns on dropping and fetching and doing what we needed to do. And then the other thing also is I had the right managers that I worked for to say, listen, Sumaya, we see you where you can go and we see what you can do. So would you study this? Eventually you'll get the right NQF and we get you into CFP. And that was the process we followed. And this was all within the group that I worked for,
Yeah.
you know?
But again, I think you're going back to having good relationships.
Yes.
Right? And really showing up every single day and doing your best.
And being positive.
Yeah.
And being positive.
Okay, so now you had no plans for a child, and now this baby comes along. Were you budgeting at that point in time?
God.
Were you thinking about the future in terms of savings, or it was just a shocker?
It was just a shocker, literally a shocker. You do not realize how much babies cost. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
this was way in like 2000. She was born in 2000.
Yes.
She's 24 years old now. And I look at it and I think, oh my gosh, how did we do it? Between my husband and I, how did we do it? But we did.
Yeah.
You know, we managed, we coped, we with the support of our parents on both sides, we actually did manage. So we did start saving, but obviously your salaries at that time were not the powerful salaries we sit with at these levels, at the stages in our lives. You know what I'm saying? The salaries of that time didn't allow us to really even put away a few $100, you know what I mean? Because you needed nappies and you needed formula and you needed whatever else.
Okay, so now the second child comes along. This is how many years later?
That's the thing. So I was so afraid of having a second child. It was not on my agenda. And I had a Portuguese friend that worked with me for years.
Yes.
She's now a Standard Bank financial advisor, wealth advisor in private banking. And she was Sumaya, no, this is not good. Because our kids grew up together. They were exactly the same age, our first kids. And she actually had a second. And she said, Sumaya, I can see your child is becoming selfish. She is alone in the home. This is not good. At the time, I was studying my CFP.
Yeah, so there's
But
a
I
lot on your
felt
plate.
pregnant in that year, and I'm doing my CFP as well. Oh my gosh. It was literally 2007 May that she was born, and a month later I went for my graduation. So it was so rewarding. It was so rewarding.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
And what are the conversations at home with your husband now that you have two girls?
I think our conversations are obviously growing them up knowing how to respect money, you know? Because we've got kids that are so different and vast. Literally, I've got the older one who is like this fashionista, loves things. Everything is it must be to the T. She's OCD, that type of thing. And the other one's the opposite. She's literally a tomboy. She wants tackies and sneakers and all of that. And she's in grade 11 right now. So we're at a stage literally where we need to take her to someone to actually get counseling as to what's good for her to study.
Yes,
you know,
yes.
and what's the path for her, because she's exceptional in arts. She's good in all of that. It's just what would be the best education for her at this stage.
And I mean, all of that costs money, isn't it?
Yes.
All of that costs money.
Oh, yes. Look, we've done some savings, thank the Lord.
Yeah.
I've been lucky in that regard. And I think we should be okay. I think, you know what, wherever the path takes us, she should be fine.
She should be fine.
Yeah, she should be fine.
Just take me through your process for saving and investing. Because, you know, oftentimes when we talk about it, it still feels very difficult and overwhelming for people when you start talking about saving and investing. What is your philosophy around saving and what is your philosophy around investing?
Yeah, so I think the most important thing is you need to realize what's the goal you're saving for, you know? Is it education? Is it just saving for a rainy day? Is it saving purely because you want to take a lovely, great vacation? That type of thing, you know? So I've been very good in the sense that when they were born, I'd taken out unit trusts for them.
Yes.
And my older one, obviously, when she turned 18, she could see this money on her Standard Bank app. And she's like, what is this? And I'm like, you touch this and I will kill you. So I think it's about putting aside a little for everything.
Yes.
Putting aside for your retirement, putting aside for a rainy day, putting aside for your kids, that type of thing, you know? So you need to find a bit of budget, understood. We all love lovely things.
Yes.
I mean, I love spending. I love good things, you know? But there is a space where you need to actually say, no, is there a need or is there a want?
You need to find a balance between the things that you desire and
Thank
the things
you.
that
And
are
sometimes
actually
I
needs.
never know when to say, no, this is not a need. It's a want, but I'm going to buy it.
You're human. You're human.
Yeah, it is. It's
So
true.
I find it interesting. So your daughter saw this amount because now it pops up on her
Her
screen.
screen. And
What is the conversation you actually have, or did you already sort of have a conversation that, you know what, we've been saving for your
Yes, I've-
fees,
yeah.
for your education?
exactly. So that was just additional savings that would be in their names.
Yes.
That type of thing, right? Tax-free savings accounts that I've had. And obviously they were just unit trusts. When tax-free savings became available, I put that in there. And so now I've said to her, listen, you do have access to it, but I will be getting notifications still, purely because I am still, you know what I mean, the person who actually pays it.
Yes.
So she does know that that's money that she doesn't need to touch at all.
Mm.
And she also knows that I actually want to take out one for her that's coming out of her salary.
Yes.
You know, it doesn't have to be an RA at this stage. Okay, she is 24. Maybe not a bad idea for her
Not
to
a bad
start.
idea at all.
You know what I'm saying? And obviously, once she's done with articles, the salary becomes even better. And then
But
maybe
getting her into the habit
a
of
habit
putting money
of putting
away.
money away. And
Yeah.
that's our discussions at this stage. My husband and I are like adamant to say, Atia, I know you feel your salary is not great, but can we take out a small percentage of that and put it towards something?
You are listening to More Than Money, a podcast collaboration brought to you by Sasfin Wealth. At Sasfin Wealth, we empower our clients to reach their global investment goals, to retire with dignity, and to leave a lasting legacy. If you would like to have real money conversations, visit sasfin.com/wealth and talk to us. Enjoy the rest of the podcast.
No, absolutely. You know, that what you're saying just a couple of months ago with my niece, she's still in university. She gets an allowance from her mom. I said, you actually can afford to put away 200 rand.
Thank
Because
you.
you're trying to build a habit in them that even when their big salary comes, they know that a portion of it goes towards savings and investing.
Exactly. And then they see that amount and the compounding effect of that amount.
I think that's the most exciting thing.
That is the most exciting thing, you know, the compounding effect of that amount. Because now she looks at it and she thinks, okay, Mom, but you put away this, but it's this. I said, yes, it's purely the growth that investment has done, you know. So you need to remember that we have to start a process for you as well.
Yes,
You need to start a process. And I'm thinking an RA might not be a bad idea. But like you say, if with your niece, a 200 rand a month, which unit trust allows 200 rand a month today?
Yeah.
I think most of them actually...
Most of them
you know,
do.
Yeah, most of them, I mean, have like a minimum.
Yeah.
You know?
I think that's why a lot of people are overwhelmed about investing because, oh my goodness, they think I need really large amounts. Most unit
Thank
trusts used to be
you.
500 rand, but with other apps right now, it's much
I mean,
easier.
I literally go back to the days in the financial industry when there was like, I think it was a guard bank unit trust that literally allowed 50 rand a month.
Imagine.
It used to be called the wealth
So
folder.
absolutely everyone should be an investor.
And that's why there are companies that actually have no minimums. You can put as much as you feel you are happy putting away.
Yeah.
So that's also something to look at.
Now, let's talk about a financial setback that you've experienced. I mean, if you're a human being, there must be
A financial
setback that you felt like, goodness, that was a bit of a punch. And how did you get over that?
I think for me, the main thing was to be debt-free. The main thing for me was to be, I wouldn't say it was a punch as such.
Yes.
But it was the thought of knowing that, listen, it would be so much better if I didn't have the house bond, if I didn't have a car to pay. I would have so much more freedom with my salary than that type of, than sitting with that debt.
Yeah.
And for me, that has been my biggest encounter.
Yeah.
Is literally being debt free.
And how do you go about that? Because, I mean, you have life and its expenses, and you have kids. Do you sit down with your husband and say, our goal is to become debt free and we're going to put extra towards our house and our cars? Do you buy new cars every other 3-4 years?
I have
How
wasted
do
so
you guys
much
do
money
that?
on cars, Mapalo. I love cars. I am so bad, but I've stopped. At this stage in my life, I've stopped.
But before, tell me all about what was it like?
Before, purely because I think I worked for myself. I wasn't handed a vehicle. I wasn't handed anything from my parents. I worked for myself. I studied for myself. So when I actually did get a car, it was out of my own growth that I purchased one. You know, it was the first polo player. You know, it was like one of those. It was like, I think in the year 1999 or something like that. And I loved it. But purely because my job encountered the fact that I needed to go out and see advisors, and I was traveling
you have to be on the road.
Distances. I was literally doing like the Vaal Triangle, and I was doing as far as Springs and all the East Rand and that type of thing. And eventually, I had a manager who said that if you are in debt, you're going to work harder.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
What advice is that?
What advice is that? Exactly. He said, we are taking you to the BMW dealership up the road from Melrose. So we used to be at Stellar offices. I'm taking you up the road to BMW and we are going to see a car there. And I've never stopped that brand till today.
I know, because I know that you've always driven that brand.
Now I've got a 2013
but
one
now
that's paid up.
But now I can't imagine that's actually how you got into
Loving
that brand and
cars.
loving that car. Okay, so tell me, you hear this and it registered.
It's registered like, wow, I would love to drive a BMW. Like, you know. And at that time, the 1 Series just came out.
You went and got yourself a 1 Series.
I got myself a 1 Series. And in 18 months, I did 75,000 kilometers. I had to hand that thing in and say, can you give me another one? Because the motor plan was a problem, you know. You used to worry about the motor plan, yeah.
Okay, all right. So and this just goes on for the love of cars.
This goes on for the love of cars. Every 2 years, I'm changing to another BM and another BM and another BM. Eventually, it was that.
So,
that drew
what
the
is your husband saying?
My husband
all this
is like,
time around?
he's fine because he's doing the rest of the other bulbs, and he's like, okay, cool, that's our family car. At the same time, so I also get to drive a nice car.
Oh my word! But for me, what's fascinating also is how the impact of someone you look up to,
Yes,
or people in your community, colleagues, have an impact on the decisions that we make when it comes to money.
yes, and you're not only that. People look at what you drive, what you wear.
Let's talk about that. Let us talk about that.
You know what I mean? What you
how you
know,
present yourself.
How you present yourself.
How much of that has impacted your finances?
In the early 2000s, the pricing of cars were much more decent. Before I hit 100,000 kilometers, I was changing to the next facelift BMW as such. Let's put it that way.
Yes.
And they were like, what, 250, 260,000?
I mean, now it's a starter car.
Thank you. Now it's like nothing under $1 million for a
Yeah.
decent BMW if you wanted. And I would not do myself that justice now. Like, I would not be paying a car finance.
Yes.
You know? So I think it is a status thing. And it is a thing of, you have a phase in your life that you actually do feel you need to show that you're successful.
I hear you. These conversations are really important because we show that, yes, you should strike a balance between saving and investing, but also you're human. But how do we get over that hurdle of making bad decisions that derail us from achieving our financial goals? But really, just have real conversations about money.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for bringing that up.
It's budgeting. It's
Yeah.
budgeting. Can I afford the budget of that vehicle?
Yes.
Actually, that's it. And that's what I say now. I would never go out now and buy a brand new car. That's for sure.
And I mean, you've done it.
I've
You've kind of
done
kicked it out of your system,
I've done it
isn't
over
it?
the years like a mad person. I loved it. And I mean, till today, like as much as I upgrade, it is not like I'm financing it. You know what I mean?
Yes,
I'm putting in that car and putting in the difference, and that's it. You
I
know?
see.
So right now, I drive a 2013, and I'm happy.
Yeah. All right. So, what has been some of financial regrets where you thought to yourself, Sumaya, that was not a good decision?
I would say spending on luxury.
Yeah.
Spending on luxury items. Luxury items like handbags.
So you
and-
are a bit of a spender, Sumaya.
I am.
You are a bit of a
Apollo.
spender.
And the scary thing is, between my husband and I, we actually are both slight spenders.
Oh my word!
I know.
So
I
there
know.
is-
That's why we have to make certain that there's that certain amount, that money that is from both our salaries going away
Yes.
every month, that is being put away.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. You know yourself enough to say, this is our salary. We are going to budget for the important things. So the
First.
saving, the investing. So basically paying yourself first,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Then whatever else is left, you are not going to feel so guilty
Bad.
about.
Yeah, but irrespective.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I think my bad financial decisions have been on luxury items. I won't lie to you. Luxury items for myself.
yes.
Like, did I really need that handbag? You know.
But I like that. And again, we're going back to, it's more than money. We are talking about the fact that actually we are emotional beings.
Thank you.
right? And
Yes.
oftentimes the advice or what you hear on radio is don't be emotional when it comes to money.
But it's associated.
Exactly.
It totally goes together. Money and emotion go totally together.
100%.
For some people, it's convenience. For some people, it's the fact that they're able to provide for their families. And for others who can afford to, it's spoiling yourself.
Yeah, it's a little bit of luxury from time to time. So let's talk about the other side. You know, we talk about saving and investing, but how important is it to have things like life cover, income protection, critical illness, that sort of thing? Because I know oftentimes the conversation really just ends at saving and investing.
Yes.
But
You need to
for me,
have
especially
that.
as I get older and I see some friends encountering some illnesses and, you know, life happening, you realize just how important the other component is, preserving your wealth.
Yeah. So, Mapalo, the most important thing is to make certain that you do have life cover in place, especially if you have got liabilities.
Yeah.
You know, purely because at your death, your liabilities is what needs to be covered. You know,
And if you have kids.
Thank you. If you want to actually provide a legacy for your kids, that's also another thing. Look, life cover is not also there to just make them instantly wealthy. It's there to assist them, obviously, through the path. But my husband and I have sat together with an advisor and actually done the math, you know. Is there liabilities in our estates? Is there not? To how much of life cover would we need? How much of this would we need? How much of critical illness? That type of thing. And made certain that the world is obviously Sharia for us because now we are Islamic. But you have to take account for the life cover. You have to have the illness. You have to have the dread disease benefit. You need to have those type of things because illnesses come like with a bang. I've literally lost an older sister to like cancer in 3 months. In 3 months, diagnosed in July, gone in September. But you do not realize, like you know
And
what
it
I
can
mean?
happen to anyone.
Thank you. You do not think it's going to happen to you.
Another thing that's very important that you mentioned, and I think this is the misconception from people outside of the industry, that if you're in the industry and you work so closely with financial advisors and financial planners, and obviously you know the products, you know what they do, you know the benefits, that you don't need a financial planner. And you said you sat down with your financial planner together with you and your husband. How important is it to have someone who has oversight?
So as much as I've got my certified financial planning, I can do the planning for us. But I'd prefer to have somebody outside of the picture looking into our finances and saying, listen, this is what you guys need. You know, this would be the safer bet. You've got 2 girls. This is what would happen if this happened to you, if that happened to you, you know, that type of thing. So I've made certain, as much as I could have done the financial planning for us, I'd prefer to bring in the third person because they're looking from the outside in. You get what I mean?
Because again, we become very emotional and we
Thank
think,
you.
oh my goodness, this is the right thing. Why it might be someone else comes in and like they have a bird's eye view and say, you know what? Here, I think you're being short-sighted. Or
Thank
here,
you.
You know,
Or here you don't have the enough cover.
Exactly.
I don't think it's sufficient, you know. I think you should actually have additional life cover. You might have life cover within your group life benefits at work, but I still think out of the box you need to actually be having further additional life cover.
Yes.
So, yeah.
What are
it's
some of your fears
important.
about money, Sumaya?
I just hope to retire comfortably. That's important, and not be liable on my kids. That would be my fear.
That would be the
fear.
Yeah.
To retire comfortably and not be reliant on my kids. That is my biggest fear. That's it. And we all think we have enough for retirement. But when the time comes, let's see.
Let's see and hope that you've saved and
we've
invested
saved enough and invested enough and done what we need
Otherwise,
to
you're going to
do.
regret buying the luxury bags.
Hopefully, we'll be able to sell them.
We're not even going to go into a conversation about luxury bags or assets. No, not here.
Definitely not.
All right, Sumaya, it has been so lovely chatting to you. As parting words for anyone listening to this and who wants to get into the industry, would you encourage people to get into this beautiful industry of ours?
I think the industry has got so much of opportunity.
Yeah.
It is so vast, and as much as we think the industry is small, it is you know, as much as we think the industry is actually huge, that's what I meant to say. It's actually small because you meet advisors that you've known or you've met over the years and that type of thing. And I think for an advisor coming into the industry right now, it's difficult purely because most jobs and positions are on commission only.
Yeah.
But if you come into the industry, start off as a specialist first and then perhaps go into advising.
Build those relationships.
Yes, build those relationships, or start off within an asset management company first, or start off within a financial advisory practice, maybe within the admin perhaps, before coming into
As
the
a
industry.
paraplanner or something
Yes,
like that.
as a paraplanner, that type of thing. But there's definitely scope in the financial industry, what we do. There is so much of opportunity, it's like the sky's the limit.
I know I said that was the last question,
Yes.
but I just want to go back to what your manager said.
Yes.
About if you create more debt, you'll just...
You'll work harder. So for him, he wanted all of us. So we were all young at that time. We were
Yes.
all young in that branch. I mean, literally, the manager that I report to right now was in my branch with me as well, because he had come in as part of the graduate program.
Yes.
And the manager that we had at the time was literally someone who took our team as a family. So, he knew everything about every one of us, and we'd have get-togethers that would be with the families. That's the thing.
Yeah.
And I think his words saying being in debt meant that we would work harder.
Yeah.
What
What advice would you give to young people coming into the industry or just starting to work?
Yeah, the main advice I would say is at least put a portion of your money away to saving.
Yeah.
That's most important. Whether you like luxury items, whether you're going to buy a house, whether you're going to buy a car, put away money for a rainy day. That's most important. Just make sure you do some savings that you have accessibility to. Not something that you're looking at long term, Retirement is different, and obviously a rainy day is different. But yeah, I would definitely say save.
Save, put some money away for a rainy day,
Definitely.
and invest for your future. Basically, pay yourself first.
Pay yourself first and love yourself first.
That is very important.
Yeah.
That is very, very important, especially when it comes to managing money, because you don't see how intertwined it is.
Exactly. It puts emotion.
I actually had someone on my DMs on Instagram where she said, I know why I'm broke. My self-esteem is low, so I try to compensate by buying and end up getting myself into debt. So those are some of the conversations that are really important when it comes to money. We don't talk about enough.
Yes, exactly.
Just how we feel about ourselves impacts the way we use and perceive money.
Exactly. That's what I say. So the same token, when we go back to that same conversation of, yes, I would like to drive into an advisor's office driving a nice car, knowing that, okay, fine, Sasfin probably does well. So, what I mean? That type of thing. I should be looking at utilizing that, that type of thing. But it's all about perception. It's what you want to put out there. There's a stage in your life where you realize, listen, I've done that. I've been there, Let me actually look at the better things now. Let me actually, try and save towards retirement. Let me actually, save to go on a lovely overseas trip.
Yes.
Let me save to take my family,
Instead of using credit.
Yes.
Sumaya, it was so lovely chatting
What
to
a blessing
you.
seeing you again, Mapalo.
You are
Oh,
wonderful.
man. Thank you so much for the show. Thank you for your podcast.
This was a Sasfin Wealth podcast. Visit sasfin.com/wealth for more information.